Hello. So this is my review of the RSL Speedwoofer 10S. I've already gone through in another video and explained my reasons for why I chose the RSL Speedwoofer 10S over other competitors in its price range and class. So if you're interested in that, there's another video on my channel that covers that. With this one, I wanted to focus on my observations of the RSL Speedwoofer 10S itself and why I have been really impressed with this thing over the last 6 weeks or so that I've had it in my possession. So what I'm going to do is to just do a brief overview of the specs and then kind of show you some of the connections on the back and then give you guys kind of a demonstration as well as some additional insight into the Speedwoofer, just some advantages and disadvantages that it might have. So just briefly, it is powered by a 350 watt continuous amp. RSL does not even bother with peak power measurements, which is to their credit because continuous power is definitely the more accurate of the two. And it is a 10-inch driver, but it is not your average Joe 10-inch driver. It is definitely a solid, well-built, high-performing 10-inch driver. It has a slotted port on the bottom, and believe me, this thing moves air out of that port. If you sit anywhere within, about 5 to 6 feet, you're going to feel blasts of air coming straight out of the port on this thing. It is actually surprising at how powerful it is when it hits. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this for just a second and flip to the back and show you guys the connections. Okay, so here are the connections on the back of the Speedwoofer. You've got the plug over here on that side where it goes in. The switch is only auto on or off. So there is no on all the time or then the standby option and then an off. So it always has to be on the auto on. So that's the only option for it. You got your speaker level inputs there. Got your LFE there. Your crossover bypass, which generally most people are going to use their amplifier in order to control this thing, and the LFE, but you do have the crossover frequency and phase knobs there as well as the gain at the top. Now if you take a look at the gain, which is that knob there on the top, you see I've got it probably just shy of the 12 o'clock position there. So it's maybe roughly about 50% gain that I'm running this thing at, which is ideally right about where I wanted it to be before I even got this subwoofer. So it's been great that it's lived up to its expectations in that respect, because I've already run my Dayton Audio Sub 1200 cranked at about 90% for the whole time that I've owned it, which I know isn't the best thing for it, but that's how it sounds good, so that's what I've had to do. So anyways, this is just kind of the basic overview of this. The next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and cover what it sounds like and do a little sound demonstration. So just a moment. Okay, so the movie I chose for this demonstration is the 2019 version of Midway, which is the Roland Emmerich version. The reason I chose it is because it's got a wonderful Dolby Atmos soundtrack, and it's just a great audio track to really give your subwoofers a good workout. But then again, Roland Emmerich films are good for that in general. So give me just a second, and I will go ahead and get that lined up here, and hopefully you can hear it coming through the amplifier and the subwoofer here and just see kind of its performance and hear its performance. Obviously, coming through, just a little mic, it's never going to sound as good as what it sounds like here in the room, but it is what it is. So give me just a second. Okay, so that was a scene where the Americans were doing the dive bombing on the Japanese carriers with the first successful strike where they hit the actual carrier. So what you're hearing there were the sounds from the anti-aircraft guns, and of course the final scene there, if you heard it, was the bomb hitting the first aircraft carrier. So as you can imagine, this thing has quite a bit of impact. So anyways, just another thing that I'd like to point out, one of the things that I think is often missed with the RSL Speedwoofer 10S is just not that it's a great sounding subwoofer for the money, it's also a very compact subwoofer for what it delivers. Just very, very solid power and a very compact footprint. Its largest dimension is 16 3/4 inches, which I believe is the front to back. So this whole thing fits within a 17-inch cube of space, which was one of the big reasons why I chose this subwoofer, was because not only is it a great sounding subwoofer, it's very easy to fit into a compact space, and I didn't want to have something sticking out from my entertainment center. As you can see here, it sits flush with it and actually is recessed just a little bit. So if you've got compact space and you're looking for a subwoofer, you know, I would say even under $1,000 that's going to have an impact but fit in a very compact space, this guy is about as good as it gets for something that fits in less than a 17-inch cube in that price range. So, other things to be aware of with this subwoofer. When I compared it with my Dayton Audio Sub 1200, one of the things I really like is the front firing port. And that whole time I was doing that demonstration, it was like having a fan constantly blowing on me with how much air this thing was moving out of the port. Honestly, it was unbelievable, actually, how much air this thing moves. But, so my Dayton Audio has the down firing port, which I didn't like. But, you know, it still has its merit and its value in that respect. Now, I am running dual subwoofers here. I am still running my Dayton Audio, even though I know that's considered to be, you know, kind of a faux pas there, as it were, in the home theater world to have a mismatched subs like this. But I actually like it because I've been able to compare the two side by side in action. So one of the things that I found was that the Dayton Audio, because it's a 12-inch sub, it actually does have a little bit of response, just a hair lower than the RSL Speedwoofer 10S does. However, you know, I mean, we're talking about, you know, me having to, you know, walk over and feel what's coming out of the sub, like right next to it. In terms of, you know, actual feeling it from across the room, you're really not going to notice much of a difference at all between the two subwoofers. What you will notice is that as you start getting north of about 20 hertz, the RSL Speedwoofer 10S has much more power. As mentioned, I run the RSL Speedwoofer 10S just shy of about 50% gain. I've got the gain at about 90% on my Dayton Audio Sub 1200. So, I mean, that's a pretty significant difference there, and that's one of the things I was looking to improve, was to have a subwoofer that I don't have to crank all the way up all the time. So, anyways, this has just kind of been an overview of and review of the RSL Speedwoofer 10S. Overall, I'm very pleased with the results it produces. Ideally, I think at some point I would like to have something that produces a little more deep bass and digs down into the teens and just does a little bit better job in that respect. But for the time being and for the amount of money I spent, you know, less than $400, it's hard to go wrong with this thing. And the fact that you have the ability to test this thing out for 30 days, and as long as you return it to them in good condition, you know, you get all your money back. You know, I think only SVS offers something a little bit better than that. And of course, with SVS, you have to spend just a little bit north of $500 with tax in order to get that sort of service. So for under $500, the RSL Speedwoofer 10S is really the only option that gives you that in-home trial. And that's all I've got, and thanks for watching.